here. So from atop the melting mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Hey, if you want to take a listen to our archives, guess what? We have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show. My personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. What secrets are held in our past? What ancient mysteries help shape the world we live in, but have been long forgotten? Looking deep into the past is Robert Stanley, who is the editor of Unicus magazine. During his passionate pursuit of modern and ancient mysteries, Robert has traveled to 59 countries in 59 years. His quest for unique ideas and information has led him to research and write about many controversial topics. He is the author of two amazing groundbreaking books on the history of UFO activity in Washington, D.C. as well. His website, unicusmagazine.com. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Mr. Robert Stanley, always a pleasure to have someone of your stature on this show on this night. We really appreciate it. How you doing?
Doing well, Dave. Thanks for having me.
We're glad that you are here as well. You know, we all have a path that we take in order to get into this field, whether it's curiosity, whether it's experience. You know, when you go down this ancient path, or you go looking into the secrets of UFOs over Washington, D.C., what led you to that point? What got you into the market of getting into this strange phenomena?
Okay, well, I started having close encounters with UFOs in Malibu, where I grew up, and near Point Mugu Naval Base. Some people might know that area as the so-called underwater entrance to a UFO base that showed up in 2014 on Google Earth. At least that's what was the allegation. I'm not sure that's what it really is. I think it's just a misunderstanding or somebody messing around with the map. But anyway, Malibu is a hotspot for UFO activity. I had quite a few experiences up in the mountains with other people, actually, that saw that. So that was the curiosity part of it. But and then I started working as editor for Unicus Magazine, the magazine for Earthbound Extraterrestrials. That was kind of wild. So we were in print for a number of years, reporting on extraterrestrials more than just their craft. I'm not really not that interested in the craft or the technology. I'm more interested in the occupants. But so what happened was it 2015, early spring of 2015? Oh, sorry, 2005. God, I'm getting senile. 2005. I received an email from a guy who calls himself the Alien Hunter. His name's Daryl Sims. Maybe you've heard of him. All right.
Daryl was just on this show last week.
Oh, figures.
Good coincidence.
Yeah. Nah, it's serendipitous. Anyway, so he sent me an email with pictures taken at the U.S. Capitol in July of 2002. And again, I'm getting this email sometime, I think it was like May of 2005. So a few years, almost 3 years afterwards. And he says, Robert, I don't know what to make of this. I know you're pretty good with photography. So let me just ask you if you think this is Photoshop or not. Well, the contact information for the photographer was in the email that Daryl had forwarded to me from the photographer in Washington, D.C. His name is Wilbur Allen. And so anyway, I looked at it and I couldn't really tell what was going on there. But again, it kind of caught my curiosity was, wait a second, if this event really happened the way it's depicted in the pictures, we should have heard something about it in the UFO community or the news. I mean, it's a big deal when something like that happens, even if it happens in the middle of the night. You have a swarm of UFOs coming over the Capitol, exactly like what happened in 1952, maybe even more so. People should respond, I would imagine, to that. So I contacted the photographer and I said, hey, look, I'm looking at your email. What's up with this? Where's the backstory on this? He proceeded to tell me that he had worked for ABC News for 14 years as a cameraman / crew coordinator. So he ran teams of people from ABC News at the Capitol, the White House, Air Force One, and his family was involved in the military. His dad was a military officer, and so is his brother. He never served, but just saying, he comes from a good family, had a good job. He was working freelance the night he was there at the Capitol taking pictures for an album cover. And that's when the swarm of UFOs showed up. And I think he was there between like 11 and 1 approximately. So it was in the middle of the night. And, multiple craft. And it just showed up in these pictures. And by the way, these were analog film slides. And so I said, well, that's an interesting story. Let me get back to you on this. I mean, because I was just really flabbergasted about what he was telling me. So I told Daryl, I said, hey, did you ever talk to this guy? He said, no. And I'm that's a hell of a story if it's true. And he goes, well, you don't really have a story here, Robert, unless he's willing to have the negatives analyzed. So I come back to the photographer, Mr. Allen, and I said, hey, would you be willing to do this? And he said, yeah. And he took it to a film lab right across the street from the FBI. It's not there anymore. Ross, I think it was called Ross Camera. Anyway, he had it analyzed. I transcribed the conversation of that. It was authenticated by a lab technician there at the lab, at that particular camera store, and they proceeded from there. So all I did was I wrote one article. And it caused such a controversy because it had the pictures in there that, well, I was visited my home in Los Angeles by a military helicopter, a black military helicopter, which I'd heard quite a bit about in the UFO community. That seems to be one of those sort of like Bigfoot kind of things. So, people swear they've seen it, but up until that moment, I'd never seen it. And it coincided with the release of my article. And I'm here's why I'm even telling you this is because for the article, I figured, well, I should at least try and contact the U.S. Capitol Police because they have jurisdiction over that area, that property. And I didn't want to make them look foolish because I didn't see any response to what was going on there for over an hour in the photographs. So, and also Mr. Allen had told me he'd given a copy of his photographs to the detective division there at the U.S. Capitol, and that they were very appreciative of the fact that he had given them that intel, because apparently their cameras didn't pick it up the way he was. Their security cameras, okay, which of course they don't want to have any weaknesses in the security systems around the Capitol. So I called the public relations officer, and at first he was kind of snickering until I said, no, we have photographs of this event, and it doesn't look like anybody's responding. So I gave him a few questions and to answer, and he says, well, I'm going to have to ask somebody. No, that's fine. But he says, well, who are you? And why are you writing about this? And where is it going to be published, etc.? So I told him I'm a freelancer, and but I have this website, unicusmagazine.com, and told him my name and everything. So they already had my number. It wasn't really like hard for them to find me because they knew what I was doing because I told them. So what I found out later was that the security for the Capitol building is really not entirely handled by the U.S. Capitol Police. It's run by the NSA, which I couldn't fully understand when I came across that information, but who knows what's really going on there. All I know for sure is over a period of years, what happened was when the black helicopter showed up at my house to coincide with the release of the article and photographs, which actually was not just on my website. It was published in print in Nexus magazine because I know the editor, Duncan Rhodes, and he wanted to publish it. So I said, fine, go ahead. And it's out of Australia, but they're published in multiple countries, English-speaking countries. So it actually went international and obviously got some people's attention, including in Washington, D.C. I'm pretty sure that's why they sent the black helicopter, which I never could figure out exactly what they were trying to do. But if they were trying to intimidate me, well, it worked. It surely worked because they came to my house. They did maneuvers around the house. It was so low, it was shaking the house. And so that's why I went outside to see what was going on. And they were hovering over my driveway, like 200 feet high. Up, I could have hit it with a rock. So anyway, that really got my curiosity up. After I regained my composure, I thought, wait a second. If this is a non-event, why are they reacting like that? Clearly it touched a nerve. So I started investigating. I mean, everybody knows if you're in the UFO field, it's in the public record. They showed up in multiple times right over the Capitol building, July 1952. Interesting coincidence, right? So here we are again, July 2002. Well, that would be 50 years. Was there anything in between? Well, it turns out there was. A lot more than I'd ever heard from anybody in the UFO community. So I started to collate this whole thing as a timeline because I'd done that when I worked for Honda Research and Development. That was kind of the thing that we would do when you're doing trends analysis. You have to do timelines in order to graph the different, the peaks and valleys, and that's how statistics work. Anyway, ultimately, I had found in a very short time, I'd found over 100 reports of UFOs in Washington, D.C. from 1850 till, 2015? No, God, why do I keep doing that? 2005. Yeah, that's when I started the investigation, 2005. And then I realized, wait a second, this is way too much information for an article. I can't just publish something this long. It's not really an article. And I was also starting to find more of the backstory, not just to the photographer, but other people, really interesting people, ex-military and stuff that I had connections with. I figured I'm going to ask them, what's their opinion about it.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Well, since you asked, I really wasn't planning on writing this book. It was like the proverbial rabbit hole. I just sort of went down that, and I just kept going down that until I found myself writing the first book. And so the first book is from 1850 till 2006 or 7. Anyway, it took me about a year or so to put it together. It was fairly rapid. And then I broke the story on on the internet, but I also was on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie for the first time, and that really set things off. Because
Fantastic mustache on George there. I love the guy.
I thought he was very respectful, considering he didn't know who I am, and what I was saying seems so far fetched. I mean, even though he deals in that genre, I mean, even if it was somebody who was a well-known researcher, had come out and said, well, yeah, we've got photographs of them. One of them's landing on the roof. They're swarming over, here and there, hovering over the reflecting pool. It's just like, it's such a huge story, because it wasn't just about one night. At that point, when I'd given George the book, let him digest it, and I was on a roll. I figured this was it. This was going to break the dam of so-called disclosure.
Right.
Not that I really cared that much, because I already knew they existed. I'd already seen them up close. I knew something was going on, but I never knew that the one place that denies their existence, Washington, D.C., turns out that's where they like to hang out. So it's a huge question mark. What are they doing there? Anyway, I go into George's show, Coast to Coast, reach a huge audience, and after the show is over, my website was hacked. And someone, I didn't know who it was, in Virginia, some spook agency, they went and they removed the pictures of the UFOs over Washington, D.C., and then they locked myself and the people who owned the server, they locked us out.
Well, that's
which is a good trick.
Son.
Yeah, it was really. So there you go. So okay, wait a second. If this isn't a problem, if this is a non-issue, once again, it was start with the helicopter, really scared the crap out of me, actually. But it got my curiosity up. I figured, man, they're really, really sensitive to this subject. And then for them to attack my website after the show, it was kind of a stupid move, really, because it motivated me to go even deeper. And it also, I just moved I ended up having to move my website to a different server, but Coast to Coast had put up the pictures on their website too. I guess it was more secure or something, because they didn't bother to try and remove them off that website. But that really did start a movement where the general public, for the first time, started to get an inkling that there's something really wrong in Washington, D.C., that the powers that be really don't want us to know about.
What do you think that is? What's the fear in your mind?
Well, they say there's a threat. I mean, they imply it, but we don't really see that overtly. We don't know about our military or even civilian aircraft being attacked. There's rumors of it. Some of it seems pretty damn credible, actually. I did come across one account that was from two different sources when I wrote the second book, which I wasn't planning on writing either, okay? The first book has over 200 accounts, like I said, from 1850 to 2006, I think. I wasn't planning on writing the second book. However, as I said, I thought it was done after the first book that I never intended to write. But when they hacked my server, or the website, I thought, wait a second, there's got to be, plus people were sending me the email and stuff and just telling me things, and I thought, whoa, okay, so this is a very deep hole. I got to keep going. And what I found was, ultimately, I published the second book in 2011. And so it took me a while to get the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey used to say. So that book has over 900 accounts of UFOs and or extraterrestrials from 1850 to 2010, 10-ish. So, you'd ask me a question, what is the fear? Well, in the conclusion of the second book, it's about 100 pages long, just a conclusion. I found out that there was an occult side to Washington, D.C. I kind of already heard, bits and pieces, rumors about that, the way it's laid out with all the satanic symbols and stuff. But I didn't really know the full history of the Capitol and some of the weird stuff that goes on there, such as the demon cat that lives in the Capitol. And I had that verified by one of the people that contacted me. Was he'd married one of the U.S. Capitol police officers, He was a U.S. Capitol tour guide. And when he contacted me, I asked, hey, is that real? Is there really a demon cat? And he said, huh. He says, yeah. He says, it even left footprints in the marble going up the wall. I'm like, wait a second.
Oh, my goodness.
He's like, yeah, we show it to people in the tour. I'm like, holy crap, you got to be kidding me. So he also told me that for sure because he, like I said, he married one of the U.S. Capitol police officers there in the Sergeants of Arms Division, which I verified that. And he says, look, I've got some reports here that they want me to pass on to you, just a couple, just to verify that they see these things when they're doing their tour of the grounds. They're patrolling the grounds all the time. They have to take shifts, and they do see these UFOs. But they wouldn't give their names or anything, which is fine. I totally get that. But anyway, they've been following my work. They wanted to talk about it on the record, but they couldn't. So they kind of just slipped it to me through a side channel like that. This individual also told me that he was one of the tours that he gave specifically. He remembers that they start outside and then they would go inside the Capitol. Naturally, they would congregate outside first. And he says a UFO came over. This was during the daytime, was shining light down on them. And everybody's got cameras, even back then. I think he said it was in the 90s. And now everybody has a camera on their cell phone. But the bottom line is, he said there was one guy there with a video camera, and he was videotaping it. And he says, I don't know. He says, I don't know whatever happened to that. And I'm like, well, if it's like the rest of the stuff, it probably got confiscated. Because that was the other thing. One of the guys I interviewed for the first book, Colonel Wendell Stevens. Does that name ring a bell?
Yes. I've heard of it, yes.
Well, he's a nice guy. He had a huge collection of UFO photographs, and he had a massive number of books that he'd published. So I asked him, I said, look, Colonel, in the public record, it says that hundreds of people were taking pictures and movies out on the mall during the 52? During the summer of 1952, these things were coming over regularly. It wasn't just 2 or 3 times like the media said. It was dozens of times. And so naturally, people are taking pictures. Why wouldn't they? And I said, so where are they? And he said, they were all confiscated by the military and classified. And so, we have yet to see all those. But I did collect quite a few, actually, of what was available. And it's just an amazing story, and I know it doesn't make a lot of sense to people because they figure, if this was real, Robert, they would just tell us. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. There's a lot of nefarious stuff going on in Washington, D.C. and the world at large.
Robert Stanley is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We are going to go to break here in about 90 seconds. Robert, when you look at the way you have studied the UFOs over D.C., should we be shocked that this is really happening? Should we be shocked that any type of power out there would hover over the powers that be down here?
Well, at this point, I would have to say no, but during the time that was happening, I just say yes, and that was the big fear. That was actually the threat, was not so much the craft and the occupants, it was the public's perception. That's the way the CIA put it. They needed to manage that. So that's where all the disinformation comes in.
Really?
Yep.
So do you think these objects were kind of put up there?
No. I mean, the government, in all their wisdom, the military intelligence agencies said that these things do not appear to be an overt threat, but the public's perception of them could be if there was a panic or whatever. So they had reasoned that it was better for them to manage the public's perception.
Right. Okay. I get you now. Yeah, it always comes down to managing the public perception when it comes to aliens and UFOs, doesn't it? Oh, it just sucks. Robert, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Author Robert Stanley is with us tonight on Spaced Out Radio. UFOs over Washington all the way to ancient mysteries. We're going through the gamut tonight with Mr. Stanley. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio coming up after this.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time. We want to remind you that if you're looking for our archives, we have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rocking Out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Don't forget, you can listen to us on the Paranormal Radio app, TalkStream Live, as well as follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. Tonight we are talking with author Robert Stanley. He is taking us through a very, very interesting topic, from UFOs over Washington, D.C. to some of the strange and weird mysteries from centuries and millennia ago and how they affect us today. You can find all of his books on his website, unicusmagazine.com. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Dave.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I want to stick with the UFOs in Washington, D.C. You know, for a lot of people who have never seen a UFO or really haven't looked into its rich history, there is a lot of this phenomena that has happened. When did the UFO flap over D.C. start?
Like I said, they didn't call them UFOs back in 1850, and then again, I think it was 1889. Something they called them airships, and there wasn't a lot of reports. But then again, there wasn't a lot of people living there, at least European settlers. You know, they were still establishing the capital and the surrounding cities. So, but these seem like credible reports to me, and they're almost identical to what we, now call UFOs, which are assumedly extraterrestrials, but I'm not so sure about that. At this point, they're just still unidentified. Sometimes they're clearly mundane stuff, like whatever, balloons and temperature inversion layers, birds, meteorites, yes, but there's also other things up there that simply cannot be explained, hence the name. Unidentified flying object, or the newest one they seem to like, unidentified aerial phenomena. Some of these are clearly made by us in secret programs. They call special access program, unacknowledged I think they call it unacknowledged special access programs that are built in the black budget, such as the Tic Tac UFO. That one for sure is ours. So they were wargaming it out there with the Navy and Air Force don't always communicate with each other. There's a little rivalry going on. But the highest levels, they do know. They must have some idea at this point the origins of these craft and their occupants. And they've been trying to emulate that technology, I think, for quite some time. And I'm sure it's successful. I think shockingly so. The really screwed up part about it is that we're paying for it and we don't get access to it. We don't even get to know it exists. They just play games with us. That they being the military intelligence, like I told you before, they're not just managing our perception of it. They are, it's like pounding a square peg into a round hole. Most people know these things really do exist, but we're sort of at the mercy of the government when it comes to officially. They're not explaining anything. Supposedly, they're one of these days they'll get around to it, right, when they feel like it. But it's only if it's to their benefit. So I'm really not a fan of the whole cover-up that has been going on for decades, and I don't think it's healthy. In fact, I'm sure there's a lot of criminal negligence or activity that is involved in this siphoning off of billions, if not trillions of dollars over decades for these programs.
But you think about it, though. I mean, when you're trying to protect the military-industrial complex that has really run North America and the world for the last 70-plus years, whatever is coming into our airspaces, albeit alien or some sort of hidden technology, black project technology that's out there, I mean, all of that is scary, and if you don't know what it is, or even, people high up in elected positions or military positions don't know what it is because they haven't been shown, that really sets off the entire fear factor, does it not?
Right, but the old saying about power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, I think would have to apply in this situation because there are a very, very small minority of individuals, humans, I presume they're humans, that are running the show behind the scenes when it comes to this level of technology, advanced technology, by any measure of what we think of as aerospace or power generation or telecommunication, all that stuff. I mean, it's really not just about transportation. It's a level of technology and science that is a quantum leap beyond where we are now. So why is it that they get to have this small cabal? And it's not limited to just the United States. I mean, I'll speak for myself, sorry. It's pretty evident from the public record that there is some sort of global cabal. They call them the elite. We used to call it the shadow government in the United States. Now It's called the swamp. It's kind of a weird name. But I know where they're euphemistically talking about Washington, D.C. being built on a swamp. But let's get back to what I said about the conclusion of the second book. I actually learned about the history of what was called New Rome. Before they called it Washington, D.C., after George Washington. New Rome was actually the original designated title because it was mostly built by Roman Catholics, ostensibly so that they could practice their own particular faith. But the Capitol building itself is, it's called Capitol Hill because they built it on a hill that they made. And this was typical of the Romans historically. Wherever they went, they made a replica of the Capitolium on the seven hills, one of the seven hills of Rome. The Capitolium was a place where the senators would go and have a consultation with the god Jupiter, also known as Jove. My understanding is it's just a statue. I don't know how in the world you could possibly talk to a statue and expect to get anything coming back. As far as governance of the Roman Empire, that seems pretty asinine to me, that to even entertain the idea that you can, speak to a statue. So there had to have been something else going on there. My perspective on the whole ancient alien thing is it's pretty goofy. I know that's not a technical term, but when you look the way it's presented in the media, it's either treated as a non-issue or they present it at like sort of like comic book stuff, comic book characters. I know a lot of people think that that's real, but to me it's entertainment. So it's not. I don't take it seriously, but there's something there. But it's not. In other words, what do they say? The revolution will not be televised, because the thing about the media is they're not just managing information about UFOs. They're managing information about everything, and who they are is totally an open question. I know everybody's got their own pet theory. That's why they call it a conspiracy theory, because it's hard to nail down. It's like nailing Jell-O to a wall, and by design, actually, they know damn well how to. Okay, whoever the ruling elite are, they know how to manage us, the so-called working class, the peasants, what do we call it? Subjects of the empire. They know how to manage us quite well. So information is a big part, or so-called our perception. Our perception of reality is really what we're talking about. That's what they're expert at manipulating.
Robert Stanley is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Robert, as they try and manipulate what we are wanting to know or what they want us to know, and the mainstream public who doesn't even buy into this wants to know, how easy has it been for them? Have we made it too easy as people, or have we just been so naive that we can't even realize they are capitalizing on that?
Well, that's a good question, or questions. Yeah, yes, we're naive, but we've also been badly misled, and it didn't start recently. This has been going on for thousands of years. The priesthood, the kings of old, they always had a very negative view of the subjects. I mean, we were just there to serve them, to worship them, to work, literally means to work for them. So they don't really care about what our opinion is really worthless. And that's what's so funny to me about social media, which is actually designed to be a monitoring tool. That's what DARPA originally put it together for, was to see what everybody was doing in real time. So to me, it's anti-social media. You could see, by and large, not entirely, but it was all calculated. This whole thing, and even before they had that, if you look into the metaphysical side of it, to me, angels and demons, at least what our ancestors used to call them, we're now calling them aliens, extraterrestrials. They're very real, and they're very dangerous. Some of them, highly manipulative, and not to be trusted. So, and they've been watching us and intervening in our affairs for some time. So actually, they prefer us to be ignorant, and more importantly, to be divided against each other. That serves their purposes quite well. When I'm talking about the ones that are negative, and unfortunately, there's quite a few of them here on this planet. They've been here for a long time, relatively speaking.
Do you think that the government, in their hiding of all of this, has the technology, whether it's been given to us or retrievals from crash sites, or if we've actually had contact with aliens?
Yeah, I mean, that's in the public record. Of course, it's unofficial. And I think it's going to have to remain that way, because, yes, there is a component to it that is, it's not all good, it's not all bad. And it all depends how you present it. But here's the other problem. They have dug themselves into a hole, or backed themselves into a corner when it comes, they being the government, have officially told us for decades there's nothing going on, there's nothing to see, there is no other life officially. So if they were to reverse course and admit that they've been lying, that in itself is going to cause a huge problem, a backlash, and somebody's got to be held accountable. It's not going to be it's not going to be an easy picture. That's not going to be an easy press conference. Let's put it that way.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm thinking is, what we are seeing today, for anybody who has looked into this subject, and you don't even have to look in too deeply, the cover-ups are easy to see. They're very easy to see. The denials are easy to see. The way they answer questions is easy to see. Because the reporting and the mainstream media, along with the UFO crowd, for the most part, hasn't asked the direct questions of little things like what happened at Roswell, what happened at Kecksburg, what happened at Shag Harbor, what happened in Phoenix. Those questions have all been denied or not even asked. And when you're denying the questions and the questions aren't being asked, you can cover up the history and what you really know in the past and claim this as a brand new phenomena, which they're having success with.
Well, yeah, because most people don't do research or read history, let alone research or trying to analyze the trend. I get that because they're just too busy. Most of us are too busy trying to survive. It's not a priority. I mean, I don't blame people for not getting involved and trying to figure this out because it is an enigma wrapped in a riddle by design. It's not transparent because there is something to hide there. Look, part of the thing that I've experienced and I've also read in the literature is that these occupants, whether it is through technology or some technique, they can read minds. Now, from a military standpoint, you're in deep doo-doo if you're up against somebody or something that can read your mind when you're on a battlefield. In other words, they have the high ground when it comes to gathering information, to knowing what you are doing. Especially if you consider them to be a threat. How are you supposed to communicate in a way that's going to be to your advantage? They already know exactly what you're thinking and therefore what you're going to do before you even do it, before you even say it to your fellow military. And I've seen examples of it, and I've experienced. Like I said, it's freaky. I mean, people are concerned about not having privacy on the internet. I'm sorry to tell you, but it goes deeper than that.
Oh, I hear you there. Who do you think's pulling the strings on this?
I don't think you're going to like this answer at all. Do you mean in our government?
In the government, anywhere? Is there a private group that is controlling this, in your opinion?
Yeah, this is the thing I've been working on recently. It's kind of hard for me to say this because it's just so shocking and it's so personal. I don't mean for just me, for the human race. We have been under the illusion that somehow we're alone on this planet. That's never been the case. If you look back in the historic record, the things that we're calling angels and demons have always been with us from the very beginning, and they have influenced us in ways that are extremely difficult to even talk about because they gave us technology way before Roswell. I'm sure you've never heard of the Book of Raziel, and that was it's in the public record. It's something called the Book of Enoch. Right? Okay. They talk about it, but he's not the only one. There's other accounts of this book that was given to Adam and Eve, and it was made out of sapphire. That's the way it was described, and it contained all the information of the universe. Now, I know damn well what that was, or what it is. It wasn't a book. It was a tablet. And the Sumerians called these things the tablets of destiny. It was spelled M-E, pronounced May. All computers that on the planet right now have a ME chip in them, or excuse me, an MEID number. This is part of the legacy. They didn't just show up yesterday. They've been part of our life, physically, mentally, spiritually. They're part of who we are, and yet we have this massive amnesia that the fallen ones have placed on us. Some people call it a veil. And It's got to go. It has to stop. In order for us to make any progress, to literally wake up from this amnesia that they've induced on us, We have to look back in history and analyze what our ancestors were dealing with. You know, it's shocking. As much as I've been at this decades. This isn't just idle information for me. I've experienced it firsthand, and it changed me. And I know that anybody who experiences this stuff directly is altered by it. It's not just, a hobby because I'm bored. It's because I really want to know who these beings are and what is their relationship to us. And honestly, it's taken decades to even get to the point where I can articulate this to you and your audience. Because the truth is, Dave, we're all in this together. We've all been screwed out of our inheritance by these individuals, these particular ones. You could call them fallen angels or demons or Nephilim. Nephilim is very important because they are.
You don't think it's anybody human that is controlling this game?
Of course they are, but they are doing it at the behest of the Nephilim, who are a hybrid between these fallen angels, or whatever else you want to call them, and humans. They're somewhere in between. So they are the elite. They are the ruling class. And yes, they look human enough. I mean, look, here's the thing. Angels don't all have wings. Some of them, there's a particular class, I think they call them the Teraphim, that they look human. They are physical enough to mate with human women. And they do create offspring. And they're different than us in many regards, and they're also treated as something elevated. This is the whole concept of royalty. All the kings, the bloodline of the royals, the Sangreal, they're all related to these so-called angels, which just means messenger, by the way. It's a very misleading term. It doesn't get us to the bottom, to the root of where they came from or why they're here, and who permitted it. Is it, or was it a violation entirely? So when it comes to authorities on this matter, they're very limited by their dogma or threats that are made on them, or more importantly, the censorship that's gone on with the like the Book of Enoch. It was included with at least parts of it, like specifically for Genesis. You know, when the angels, the fallen angels, mated with human women and created this other group, the Nephilim, the giants. That was all in there in great detail, but it was taken out around the 1500s because the church fathers said, well, it's too much detail. People won't understand it, or they couldn't understand it. The other thing is, you got to understand, most people didn't even read. Most people to this day on the planet really don't read. They're functionally illiterate, but that's, hey, I can understand it. They just need to go to work and take care of their family, and they don't have to read books. So typically the priesthood, nobody read the Bible up until relatively recently when the Gutenberg press came along and more and more copies were made. Before that, basically you had to write a new whole book by hand. It's very painstaking and ridiculously lengthy process, very costly. So anyway, once mass production of books came along, eventually people started to get their hands on it. But the church was saying, don't read it. Don't. Let us read it. Let us interpret it for you. So what is it? That's what I said before, managing perception, managing the information flow. It's astonishing.
But that's where we are. You control the message. You control what people think. As we got about 40 seconds left.
Oh, my God. We burned through another half hour. Okay.
I know.
Yeah. Perception is pretty much everything when it comes, because that's what kind of guides the choices we make, and the actions we take is based on information or our so-called belief system.
Well, when we come back in the next half hour, let's go back in time. Let's see, some of these mysteries you've been working on over your last number of years in checking out ancient mysteries, because I think it's important. See how it all goes from back then to where we are now, and how everything is congruent with each other. I don't really understand it. Many people out there don't understand it. Robert Stanley, our guest, does understand it. So that's what he's going to break down here on Spaced Out Radio, coming up in hour number 2 next.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We give a shout out to everybody listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America. On the digital side, we're on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Decrudescence. Decrudescence is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, rocking out to Bumblefoot, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. The show at Spaced Out Radio, as well as my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. We are talking with author Robert Stanley tonight, everything to do with ancient mysteries, because he has a number of books out there looking into this entire subject, including UFOs over Washington, D.C. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Actually, I've only written 2. And 2 books that's like 800 pages total, and it took me quite a while to put that all together. But I do have on my website a free library of higher learning. The books other things that I've found on the internet that are quite interesting that I hope are relevant to people that are searching for truth, or at least some accuracy.
Well, there you go. I misquoted your titles here. I apologize about that.
No, that's fine.
For the Amy or Ami.
Oh, those are not mine. But yeah, that's in the library. God,
Yes.
I came across that last year completely by accident. I was looking for something else, and those are children's books written as fiction, but the author, who's from South America, apparently was somewhere in California in 1985 when I started having all my experiences. He was on the coast, and he doesn't want to say where. It doesn't really matter. The bottom line is he had some sort of encounters with etheric or extraterrestrials, and he wrote about it as fiction. And I found it extremely insightful because he says that the Earth is not a civilized planet yet. And so he gives examples of what civilized worlds are like and how ultimately we can become that if we so desire.
Awesome.
It's not about technology, Dave.
No, it's about human elevation, consciousness, the
And
beauty
spirit.
of how the mind works. Oh, yes.
Well, spirituality is important. The way he presents it there, he says that civilizations will collapse upon themselves if their level of science and technology eclipses their level of spirituality and love. So they have to be at least balanced for it to work well, for a civilization or a planet to become civilized and ultimately join with all the other civilized worlds. And the benefit to that is just enormous. I mean, not only would we be happier and healthier, but we would also be getting a lot of help that we're not currently getting because we're not civilized. We're a threat, not to them, not to the civilized worlds, but we're a threat to ourselves. And obviously other life on this world is being, it's damaged. It's the life support system on this planet is seriously compromised. And I'm not just talking about the virus.
Well, that's a whole nother road that you can go down here when it comes to everything regarding, how we haven't really treated this planet properly, but when it comes to ancient civilizations and ancient mysteries, a lot of people always point their finger at Egypt. That is the catalyst of it all. Sure, there's Atlantis. Sure, there's Göbekli Tepe, But, where does this all start? And where should we be if we want to learn about the past and how it's affected our future? Where should we be focused?
The oldest records are about Lemuria, allegedly a large continent in the Pacific that sank. And we're still not sure why. And that was precursor to Atlantis, which, again, another large continent or island series. And we're talking about just because they were centered in a location, I feel like that these were global empires that were based either in the Pacific or Atlantic, possibly even the Antarctic. It looks like there's some really weird stuff down there that people are running into. There's been, to put it bluntly, there's been a lot of different civilizations that have risen and fallen, probably for the reason that I described earlier, is because they were not truly civilized. Again, the metric for a civilized world is not just because they have technology. They have to have attain some level of spiritual awareness and are implementing that so that there is equality and compassion and, more importantly, honesty. You see, that's something that is lacking here on this planet right now. The powers that be. It seems like the further up you go into the hierarchy of this world, the so-called elite, they have a real problem with telling the truth.
So, okay, how does today's elite tie into Lemuria, into Egypt, into Atlantis? The Sumerians. How does it all tie together?
Yeah, allegedly they were the priesthood, were the ruling class. Before there was even a kingship, there was a priesthood. They considered themselves the gatekeepers to God, which I describe on my homepage as a web of light. And that is not my description, by the way. That's what science calls it. The body of God, the fabric of creation, is a web of light. In other words, and you can see this for yourself, just go to my homepage at unicusmagazine.com. It's spelled UNICUS magazine.com. Scroll down. You'll see the angel archive there. You can spend a lot of time just looking at angels, both good and evil. But more importantly, you can understand where we live. We don't just live on a planet. We don't just live in a solar system. We live in a cosmos. And it is all connected through a web of light. And that was something shown to me during one of my contacts when I was up in the mountains there with these, whatever you want to call them, angels or aliens, or doesn't matter. I just call them family. That's the way I think of them. But they showed me exactly what I'm describing to you, that we're all connected through this web of light. All creation, all life is connected energetically, because actually when you break it down, even what we think of as physical is really just patterns of waves that organize into certain patterns or shapes or frequencies. And the science for that is called cymatics, cymatics, I believe. And it's just so you can see that, clearly if you Google that, you'll see how everything is just frequencies. All the so-called plutonic solids are really not solid. They're just interacting or interlocking, wave interference patterns. Not to trivialize it, okay? I mean, creation is an amazing thing. So if you can visualize this pretty simply, when you look up in the night sky, you see some stars, right? Sometimes you can see a lot of them if you're in a good location. And it looks like there's nothing in between it. Well, that's not the case. Science has used various techniques or tools to discover that everything is connected through the web of light that we cannot see with our naked eye. The human eye is very weak. We don't hear much. We don't see much of the known spectrum of frequencies. But this web of light is available to us when we open our hearts. In Christian terms, they say that the kingdom of heaven is within. That is an incomplete statement. It should say the doorway to the kingdom of heaven is in your heart. So when you, so that seems kind of nebulous. What am I talking about?
Right.
Really opening your heart in a way that is loving towards all life, not just on this world, but all life. And you see that the reason it has to be the heart is because that's where most of the electricity from this cosmic web of light, it goes through our bodies in the heart. Because without the heart, you're dead, right? Yeah. So, and it is electricity that keeps the heart functioning. That's why when it stops, what do you use? Electricity to get it to go again. Everything is based on electricity, at least. Yeah, all life is based on it. So when I talk about a web of light, it is sound, it is light, it is what we think of as electricity, although electrons are very, it's questionable. Nobody's ever really seen an electron. It's actually still a theory. I know some people are going to argue with me. We know what photons are, but we really don't know for sure. The electron is a theory. Okay, but for sure we know that there's these small particles. What it is really these little vortices. Some spiral in, some spiral out. The main thing, the reason I'm telling you this is because when we're loving and happy and really feeling the connection to all of creation, we're in resonance, and that's sustainable. And it's not that easy to achieve, but with some effort you can do this. All right. Some people say it's a meditative state. Well, I don't, there's a lot of different ways you can describe it, but the bottom line is the big difference between this, there's only really two kinds of energies, and that is resonance and dissonance. Those who are fallen into the dark side of the force, and the cosmic web of light is the force that they talk about in Star Wars. Unfortunately, it's, they fictionalize something that's real. And they never did fully explain it. It's not about the midichlorians. It's about what I'm describing to you now, is connecting with the cosmic web of light, which is our divine birthright, by the way. It's our neighborhood. It's our universe. It's not just our planet. As souls, a soul is an intelligent living energy. It's a particular quanta of energy, and it is connected to all the other souls throughout creation through the cosmic web of light, much the way we are connected right now through the internet, which is unfortunately, I call it a web of lies, because this is a dark technology or a dissonant technology that was given to us by the fallen ones. It's what I alluded to before. If Adam and Eve were given a book by an angel named Raziel, it was allegedly made of, they said, the way they described it, sapphires are blue. Okay, but if you look at a digital device, when it's on, it has blue light coming off of it. So naturally, if you didn't know any better, you might think that was actually a blue stone. If you knew nothing about technology or electricity or anything, the uneducated would look at that and say, that must be a stone, and it's blue. Because it looks, they didn't know what glass was. They didn't make glass back in those days. So it was a gift. I think it was a bit of a curse, too. But that particular technology, that book, so-called, was passed on through the lineage of Adam all the way through Enoch, Methuselah, I should say Enoch, and then ultimately to Noah, who put it in a gold casket that we now call the Ark of the Covenant, which was electrified.
Interesting.
Where is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, right, because you don't need to know. You're not part of the Nephilim. You're not part of the ruling elite. Neither am I. I personally don't care less. I mean, because there's other ways to get access to that information. The reason I'm telling you this is because technology is not new. It's ancient. And it's not limited to this world, for sure. It's just something that happens. I mean, look, even if angels didn't come into the picture, the fact that we can make that stuff, it means it's in us. It's inherent in our nature. It's like a seed is going to, like an apple seed is going to produce an apple tree, right? Which produces more apples. Well, the potential to create technology it's embedded in us. So, and I know we're not unique in that regard. There's life throughout all of creation. In fact, that's where all the life and intelligence is coming from. It's coming through this cosmic web. So even if we annihilated the planet, it would eventually regrow because the cosmic web, that's what it does. It's resonance, it's sustainable, it is the power of creation.
All right, I have some questions coming up here from people in our audience in our chat rooms here. And we're going to get started with Greco on Twitter, who is asking, can you please explain spirituality instead of religion in the civilized world?
Man, good question. I will put it to you this way. My understanding is that religion is the politics of spirituality. It's a way of creating a barrier, or like I said, they're the gatekeepers. Religious orders are the arbiters of our spiritual awareness, if we permit them to be that. And a lot of times in the past, you didn't even have a choice. You either adhered to the religious order, or you were killed or kicked out of the community. It's not like today, where in America especially, where you have religious freedom, more or less. So yeah, that's religion is a power trip. In fact, spirituality is the real power without the intermediaries. And so that's one of the reasons that they don't really give us the full picture, because then we become dependent. We remain dependent on these particular institutions. That's all they do is they interpret spirituality for us.
All right. Let's move on here. Sparkles has a pair of questions. First one, what about the hate and divisions that we are enduring on this planet? Will this not damage us?
Yeah, obviously. But the reason it's getting worse, not better, is because it started in 1987 until 2012. That was an awakening period. Anybody that survived it or came in at that time was obviously slightly elevated in their consciousness because of the energy has shifted in our entire solar system. But after 2012, things really have accelerated. And in 2013, I'd already come to the realization with the help of my family off-world that these demonic entities, the fallen ones, were actually standing in our way. And so that came clear to me in 2011. Actually, I broke that story on Coast to Coast too, and it got a huge response. I mean, hundreds of emails from all over the planet after I didn't just report the story. I published an article with pictures of some of these spiritual parasites, the demons, whatever, and it just got a lot of people's attention. So, and I know they're pulling our strings. They're definitely manipulating us. But the bottom line is this. So a couple years later, I'm sitting there and I'm in a very meditative state, and I'm just I really couldn't figure out how is this going to be resolved, because I didn't think that we humans could resolve it for ourselves, because things seemed to be getting increasingly worse. The polarization and the angst and just the lies. So I asked my family mentally, all right, like you call it telepathy or whatever, but there's a spiritual connection that I've had with them since 1985 that I know of. And so I said, how is this going to get fixed? And they showed me almost instantly in my mind's eye, that had never happened before or since. They showed me that there was waves of energy going to wash over the planet from 2013 up until the end of 2022. And that this was going to amplify everyone's consciousness, and it was going to remove all the veil, that all the lies, where everything was going to be revealed. Everything. And that's going to shock everyone. Some people were not going to be able to handle it. They would probably die of heart attacks. But it had to happen this way. It has to happen this way, I should say, so that everyone can make a choice whether or not they want to be connected to the cosmic web of light or continue down the path of the web of lies with the dark side. And they can't say, well, I didn't know. I'm not that ignorance is any excuse for this, but because in other words, if you're going to make a choice, you have to be informed. But if you're living in a world full of lies, how are you supposed to do that? So it's a very, I know that sounds like a rather simplistic question, but it leads to something of which the implications are enormous.
All right. Next question from Sparkles. She is asking, can what you are saying simply be some of us are light workers? She says, I work with the light. I feel that I fully understand what you are saying.
Yeah, that's called resonance. When someone's being authentic and accurate, you can feel it. And I've heard people say this many times, that I resonate with what you're saying. Well, that's because we're all family. And we're all in this together, right? That's what they say about the fire. It's more than just that. We're dealing with a huge obstacle or obstacles that have been placed in our path. So yes, some of us volunteer to come down here and be of greater assistance. But ultimately, we all have to be able to make a choice. If you're going to work in the light, then you have to be service to others. You have to be willing to do that. If you only want to serve yourself, basically that you're going to end up going down the path of the dark side. It doesn't end well, okay? It's really a dead end. Literally, it's a dead end,
okay,
as far as I can tell.
You know what? I want you to finish that answer when we get back from our break here, because we do, excuse me, have to step out at the bottom of the hour. Oh, I don't know why all of a sudden I lost my voice there for a quick second. We are talking with Robert Stanley tonight on Spaced Out Radio, his website, unicusmagazine.com. You can check it on out. More about ancient mysteries, how it ties into today with Robert Stanley when we come back on Spaced Out Radio.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month, and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you with us. Thank you so much. We want to remind you that if you want to check out our free archives, we have them for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, which is updated daily. Captain works hard on that, so make sure you check it on out. And follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the radio show, and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. Would absolutely love to follow you back. Tonight we are talking with author Robert Stanley. We're going down a deep road of ancient mysteries and how it all ties into today. His website, if you want to check it out, unicusmagazine.com, which I highly suggest you do. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Dave.
Now, right before the break, you were at the back end of answering Sparky's question, which was, about light workers and how it all works. Would you like to continue with that? Yeah, briefly. As I say, there's, there's so much information on my website that we can't really cover because it just takes too long. But that's why it's there. It's a public platform for higher learning. And we share insights and information without prejudice. Okay, nobody's going to get censored or banned. Just go ahead and check it out. If you have something you want to contribute, great. If you just want to just cruise on through, that's fine too. Anyway, one of the sections there on the homepage you can look at is what we're discussing here is the cosmic web of light. I didn't make up that term. It's something that's what scientists call it. In Star Wars, it's called the Force. And, of course, there's a dark side to the Force as well. And we all have to be aware of the fact that when we are having negative emotions, we're basically directing our spirit, our soul, our energy into that realm. It's typically called dissonance. So those of us who consider ourselves workers of light are connected to the web of light and working with the force of creation. And it is light, it is sound, it is what we also call electricity. So if you've ever seen the picture of the transfiguration of Christ, where he's up on a mountain glowing in the dark, it's because he is plugged into the cosmic web of light.
And how he's doing that is by opening his heart. The heart is where most all of the electricity, the largest electrical field in our body is the heart, our hearts. And so that's where we can connect directly to the cosmic web of light. So it's not a big surprise. It shouldn't be that we understand it better now. I know that was a very, very mysterious term for so-called New Age, light worker. What does that mean? Well, hopefully I've described it for you.
A lot of the symbology and hieroglyphics that are on places, whether it's pyramids around the world or ancient civilizations where we've found relics and artifacts too, tend to point to a lot of technology back then that we have no idea how anything worked. We have no clue where it went, who helped them. How realistic is it to go back into almost an ancient aliens type of category or discussion to see whether or not we had help from the stars build some of this or give us the technology to help amplify what we needed to accomplish?
Yeah, it was certainly as advanced, if not more advanced, than what we consider to be modern science. The way they cut those stones and transported them, and more importantly, how they fitted them together. There's a lot of cement in the Great Pyramid, and when it was in its perfect condition, with the cap, with the what do they call that, casing stones, it was perfectly smooth. You couldn't climb it. No way. And in fact, it was painted and it had the capstone. So it was highly electrified. It was definitely not a tomb. I got to go there in 1975. I was 14 years old and I spent some time in there by myself. My parents and my sister did not want to go in, which I thought was weird, but whatever. I spent some time alone in the Queen's Chamber, was so called, right? Or the middle chamber. Then I ascended the Grand Gallery. Again, I was by myself. But when I got to the upper chamber, what they call the King's Chamber, there was I could hear there was a group of tourists inside the King's Chamber. So you have to duck down in order to get in there because they had to smash their way. We had no idea how to. Our ancestors, whatever they did, the so-called Egyptians or the Arabian people there had no idea. The ones that showed up later, they had no idea how to get in there. So they had to smash their way in. And you can see all the damage they did on doing. They were actually looking for treasures. But so I get into the King's Chamber with all, it was full of people with a tour group that I wasn't part of it. I'm in there for just very briefly. I walked in there feeling slightly claustrophobic in that room with that many people and wondering how we were all able to breathe considering where we were inside that huge building or complex. Anyway, the tour guide, a local guy, at some point he struck that stone box with a wooden mallet and it rang like a tuning fork. And I was really very surprised that, there was no warning he was going to do that, okay? He just did it. And it took me by surprise because at the time I've been, my mom was a concert pianist, so I was raised to play instruments. And so in an orchestra, when they play the A440, everybody tunes to their instrument to that tone. And when he did that, it reminded me of being back in like an orchestra, and I'm totally focused on this one tone. It's actually F sharp. It's not in that particular. Anyway, I'm listening to it, and the weirdest thing about it, I'm listening to it circle around the room, and I'm like blown away by this tone. And as that was happening, my vision went completely white. So I didn't black out. I had a white out. I was still conscious, but the weirdest thing happened. I found myself outside of the pyramid, where it felt like I was outside the pyramid suddenly. First it went completely white, and the next thing I know, it's like I'm standing outside the pyramid, and I'm thinking, what just happened? And well, I don't know. I didn't at the time. I didn't know nothing about out of body experiences. But this is what I'm describing to you is very typical. What other people have described having an out of body experience. Typically, everything goes white, and you are no longer, some part of your consciousness, your spirit, is no longer in the body entirely, and it's projected somewhere else. And that's what happened. And then the next thing I know is back in my body in the pyramid, and my vision was returning, but my hearing was like, it was like this really, the tone was dissipating, but my hearing was like super acute. Like there was this, like I could just hear the air in the room, like hissing sound. At that point, I guess the tour was over, and because everybody started filing out of the room. Well, I waited, and then I said to this poor guy, he must have thought I was insane. I'm trying to talk to the local tour guide that used the mallet to strike the stone box. I'm saying, why did you do that? How did you do that? He didn't tell me. I mean, I don't think he knew. All he knew is that was part of his job. Hey, watch this, boom. And it's a good trick. And the other thing I was freaking out was, I'm thinking, if everybody just had that experience, how come they're acting like it's no big deal? I really couldn't figure it out until much, much, much later. So to give you, the reason I'm giving you that story is because there's a lot of weird stuff in that region of the world that I don't think we understand it very well.
When it comes to the pyramids, we all, as I said earlier, we all kind of look towards the pyramids as kind of one of the gateways to this all. Do you believe there was some sort of help in having the slaves and everybody build the pyramids, or do you think that was completely man-made over hundreds of years?
Well, some of them are crude. You can see that they did their best with what they had. But there's no way the Great Pyramid was done with copper chisels. No, I'm sorry. And rocks, polishing it? I mean, come on. This is just insane. A lot of that rock is so hard. There's no way a copper could cut it accurately. I mean, it wouldn't work. And the accuracy levels are just like laser. It's so perfect. The whole thing, the whole complex. You'd have to be a master builder. Absolutely. So no, we've had help along the way. And again, our ancestors would have called these beings angels or watchers, messengers, basically. Yes, a lot of times they gave us messages, but some of them actually just created a mess. And we're still dealing with that to this day.
Do you believe that the symbols are correct that when they put in what looks to be hieroglyphics of UFOs and or alien type of beings?
That's a matter of interpretation. I think it's easier to just look at the historic records what little we have. I mean, look, the library at Alexandria, actually it was multiple libraries there that were destroyed, could have told us everything we wanted to know, I'm sure, about our relationship with these beings and some of the technology. Like I said, the book, that particular technology that was in the Ark of the Covenant should have been something that everybody had access to on some level, or at least knowledge of it, but it's been hidden by the elite. And it's not because they're just greedy or corrupt. It's because they're doing the bidding. They're collaborating with these fallen angels that are here, that have been here for a long time. Some people would say they're imprisoned here. I don't really know, but they've left their footprints or their fingerprints all over the place. And as I say, they're master manipulators. Those who have fallen, they seem to have lost their ability to create. So a lot of times what they do is they induce thoughts in us because, I was telling you about how they can not only read our thoughts, which is extremely, until you experience that, You're probably not going to believe me, but I've had it at least 2 times, and wow. The first time I was literally in a state of shock. I almost crashed my motorcycle, and it altered me. I mean, in a way I felt violated. In ways I can't even, like, mind rape, but it wasn't violent like that. It wasn't sexual. It's just like, wow, okay, so I have zero privacy. I can't even my own thoughts. It's like shocking to say the least. But they can also project thoughts, just like I can speak words to you, and you're going to translate it, and I may influence you or somebody else with my words. Well, the same thing is true for thoughts, because it's really the same thing in a slightly different manner. Before I speak, I'm actually thinking. So there's frequencies of electrical currents and stuff that are going on in and around my being, my brain, soul, whatever. And then I translate it through my vocal cords to your ears. But there's a more direct way to do that, and it's way more profound. Actually, it has a huge impact, and so it can be abused. And so the Catholic Church calls this possession. Modern medical, the mental health profession, they call it schizophrenia, but they never attributed. I shouldn't say that. They cannot. They refused to attribute that to something external. They just say it's a chemical imbalance in the individual who's suffering from hearing voices. So I've been a pioneer in that field. I was approached by people that work in that field, and they were kind enough to share with me that schizophrenia. They knew for a fact, they'd learned from experience that schizophrenia is, at least in some, if not all cases, it's external. Those voices are real. They're disembodied voices. And I'm not saying it's all coming from ghosts. I really believe that it's projected. We know there's a technology for this. They call it voice to skull technology. Various people have come up with various types of technology for broadcasting directly into the human inner ear, brain, whatever you want to call it. But it bypasses the audible nervous system of the ear canal. And believe me, when you start hearing stuff like that, it has a huge impact. Some people say, "Oh, God told me to." I heard the voice of God told me I needed to chop that person's head off. So it can be abused, or it also can be used for very good reasons as well.
I want to ask you, in regards to the decision makers, what is the role of the Vatican in all of this? As we've got about 6 minutes here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour.
Okay, so the Vatican started in Babylon, heavily influenced by the what Sumerians called the Anunnaki, which is just another name for the fallen angels. Demonology is a one way of approaching this particular field of study. Angelology is another aspect of it. You could just say that there is a host of information out there that you can look at. It's very convoluted. It's extremely complex. I have an archive that I've put together. I started at my website at unicusmagazine.com. And you're only going to be touching the tip of the iceberg. The Vatican is hoarding a tremendous amount of information that they should be sharing, in my opinion, about this particular topic, angels and demons. It's not a movie. It's not a freaking book. It's not a joke. It's a reality. And I think they're doing a great disservice. But then again, I think they are actually in cahoots or collaborating with these different entities, and they have been from the very beginning. So in a way, they're beholden to them, for their position of power. So what role they play, as I said before, they're intermediaries. They're the arbiters. They appoint themselves as gatekeepers between us and these particular entities, or at least the knowledge of the relationship, which on some level is highly dysfunctional, very disturbing. On another level, it's divine. So it can range from the divine to the profane. And I think they've done an incredibly bad job of educating people. They're so focused on retaining their power, their very limited, pathetic power over the people, through the, monetarily and dogmatically. I know the churches and people in them do good things in mass, but the every human agency is corrupt, in my opinion, on this planet. It has been and will remain that way until we become civilized. It's just how we are, unfortunately. And we're not entirely innocent. I know we've been violated. The relationship with these fallen ones has absolutely tainted our consciousness and our behavior.
Do you think that they are holding on to a core amount of secrets that could benefit every human on this planet?
Well, it depends how you define benefits, but look, it's our birthright. History is not something that should be withheld. The Catholic Church was also the ones that burned the Romans. They were the ones that burned not only the Library of Alexandria, but the libraries in Central America of the Mayans, the codexes. And that also would have given us a tremendous insight, if not direct facts, about who we're having a relationship with, and more importantly, how we can improve it or dissolve it entirely. Because if it's some relationships are toxic, right? It's not beneficial. And so at some point you just have to stop. And, I have a feeling that's what's coming up in the next, 2023. Some of us are going to choose to just simply break away and no longer have anything to do with the fallen ones.
I do have to ask, in regards to this, as we only got about 2.5 minutes. So do you think, there are a lot of people who believe that the secret library that the Vatican has, or the catacombs that run under the Vatican, hold some major secrets into the actual truth of the beginning of humankind. And yet it's not being released because, well, let's face it, religion is power. And do you think that this could change if those secrets are there, if they are hidden in the libraries or in the laboratories or in the catacombs? Do you think those secrets are there to bring, or that need to be brought forward to mankind?
Well, yeah, it would be helpful, but it would also take away from the influence and the power of the church, and they know it. They don't. So that's why one of the reasons they went out of their way to collect all that stuff and hide it, because it's not going to harm us, but it would harm them, at least from their positions of authority. See, that's the real word, I think, there. When you say I'm an authority, I am the authority on these matters, and so you have to just take my word for it, rather than us giving you the information, letting you analyze it for yourself and coming to your own conclusions. And that's why I said part of the resolution to this problem that we're experiencing now for thousands of years is for everything to be revealed. Now, I don't know if that means that the Vatican Library is going to be open. I personally don't care, because I know there's other ways to get the information out. It's one of the reasons I do so many shows and have the website, because the information is constantly leaking out from various sources. The hard part is actually kind of sifting through it and seeing what happens, because two different components can have a catalytic reaction in your mind. So the hardest part is having an open mind and not predetermining or prejudging anything. See, I don't believe anything. I research everything. I'm open to see. The reason I have to do that is so I remain open the entire time that I'm doing this research. And a lot of the information actually isn't found in books. I told you, once you're connected to the cosmic web of light, you'll receive information. I guarantee it. Just like when you plug into the internet, right? It flows in from all different sources.
And on that note, I'm going to cut you off right there, because We got to get out of here and prepare for hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Yeah, Robert Stanley, our guest, his website, unicusmagazine.com. We have him for another 30 minutes. Then we're getting to the SOR Newswire and the thought of the day, but jam-packed. Third hour on Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. All right, my friend.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together, we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at Kajans.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We say hello to everyone listening in across North America on our terrestrial radio affiliates. On the digital side, we're proud to broadcast on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. If you're looking for our archives, we have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Decrudescence. Decrudescence is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, Rocket Out to Bumblefoot, and so much more. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show, and my personal handle, at Dave Scott SOR. For the final time tonight, we introduce our guest, Robert Stanley. His website, unicusmagazine.com. If you want to check it on out, highly suggest you do. Great information all over, and his couple of books are on there as well. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Dave.
All right, let's get to some audience questions here. Sparky's asking, Robert, do you have any thoughts on how the stones were set in place? Could they be lifted and set into place using some technique, using vibration to lift and set where desired?
Yeah, there's theories about that. I mean, David Childress has written some really very interesting books that claim that ultrasonic energy is used to levitate stones. That's not just in Egypt, by the way. There are rumors or legends where the stones floated into place by the magicians or fairies or gods, whatever, from various parts of the world. And the megaliths are found everywhere, including my hometown of Malibu. That was part of the experience when I had another out-of-body experience 10 years after being in the Great Pyramid, when I was meditating on a mountaintop there in Malibu. I had an out-of-body experience that really changed my life. So I started going back to that location to see if I could find out anything more, and that's when I was very surprised to find some megalithic stone statues at the very top of the mountain. Again, right next to where some people claim there's an underwater UFO base near Point Magoo, based on what they saw on Google Maps or Google Earth. Again, I don't think that's real. I think that's a distortion, but for sure UFOs have been seen in that area. And yes, look, whatever technology that they're using to levitate the craft is extremely powerful, some sort of electricity. And they nullify gravity, so why couldn't they do that with stones?
Very true. Very true. All right, let's move on to Joey, who has a couple of questions here in our Space Travelers Club. And he is asking, you were talking about a box earlier. He goes, since the box being hit rang out in F sharp, has anyone tried to play the D major scale or any other tones to solicit a response?
I'm not that great on music theory, even though I was raised by a musician. I'm not really sure. I know that there's plenty of people who've gone there with permission and played different instruments in that chamber, and I don't know what the results were. You got to understand something else, though, about that particular building. It's not just a building; it's a device. The whole complex is a device, supposedly connecting heaven and earth. Now, I know that's very esoteric, but that's the way some of the literature puts it historically, that it was done by design. Now, if it was to induce an out-of-body experience or some sort of spiritual connection to the heavens, I don't think it would be just in that one little room with that box, because that stone box, so-called a coffer, some people call it a sarcophagus, which is definitely not, because you look at Egyptian sarcophagus, they're much bigger than that. They're much more, they've got, a perfect lid on them, and none of that was found in there. And it's an enigma. It is absolutely, to this day, it's a mystery that's waiting to be solved.
All right, let's move on here. Corey wants to know if you know where the Ark of the Covenant is.
Hey, Corey, what makes you think I know? If I did know, what makes you think I would tell everybody on the radio? Now, if I knew where it was, if I had access to it, I would share it with everybody, because that's just how I work. And that's why I've got a website where I do share everything that I feel is valid, accurate, authentic, valuable, whatever. I'm putting it up there. I don't know where it is. I suspect that the Vatican has it, but I could be completely wrong. The thing is, it's not the Ark that we should be focused on. It's the book of Raziel that was in the Ark, and it's not a book. Hold on a sec. I'm in Skype here. There is something in the book of Enoch, which, like I said, it was definitely considered to be a legitimate text back in the day. Even Jesus was quoting from it. But here's what it says in the book of Enoch about it. It says, so this is just in Noah's day, right? He said, great wisdom was needed for the building of the ark that Noah built. right? It's said to have space for all beings on earth, even the spirits. What? I thought he was only supposed to take his family some animals. But anyway, it says only the fishes didn't have to be provided for. Noah acquired the necessary wisdom from the book given to Adam by the angel Raziel, in which all celestial and all earthly knowledge is recorded. Well, a book that size, you could even carry it if that was the case, unless it was a digital device, which we know now can carry, an insane amount of information in just a small space, right? And it's displayed on a screen. Continuing, it says, Noah took the book, and when he studied it, the Holy Spirit came upon him, and he knew all things needed for the building of the ark of to survive the flood. The gathering together the animals, the book, which was made of sapphires, again, meaning like bluestone, he took with him into the ark, having first enclosed it in a golden casket. All the time he spent in the ark, it served him as a timepiece to distinguish night from day. Have you ever heard of a book that could allow you to tell time? No, but if you know your phone will, your cell phone or your tablet tells time, doesn't it? It's always got the time there. Why? Because there's a clock. There's a clock in every computer. It doesn't matter its size. So here's where it gets even crazier, though, for me, is even before I came across that information, I was led to an understanding that the tree of knowledge of good and evil is actually a cell tower disguised as a tree. Yes, you heard me right. I said that. If you want to see what I'm talking about, you have to go to my website at unicusmagazine.com and click on articles and scroll down to, it says Wi-Fi technology of the gods, I believe. Yeah, Wi-Fi tech of the ancient gods. And you click on that, you'll get a little multimedia presentation. I mean, everybody at this point knows cell towers disguised as trees, right? We don't even think twice about it. But our ancestors wouldn't have known what that is. But it certainly qualifies as a tree of knowledge of good and evil. It's kind of worthless, though, if you don't have a digital device to go with the cell tower network. And so, as I said before, ancient technology has definitely been on this planet forever. And a lot of it has been destroyed or hidden, and we only have access to certain levels of technology and information because, well, we're not the elite, unfortunately, we're not the rulers of our own world.
All right. With this technology that has been lost, what do you think has been lost? Like back then, did they have cell phones? Did they have watches? Did they have skyscraper type buildings? Did they have plumbing? Did they have television, radio?
Possibly. The Sumerian accounts of the Me tablet or the tablets of destiny was that they were used for multiple purposes, such as communications, weather control, medical, weapon systems. Did I say weapon systems? So just like we use apps today on our phone or tablet or computer. Yes, the gods, so-called gods, had it. That was their technology. Some of it was gifted to those that served the gods, and it was very closely guarded. So the other thing about the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the so-called cell tower, disguised as a tree, that this is stuff that was brought here or built here by them, not us, but is affecting us, obviously. The other tree that is talked about in religious terms is the tree of life. I know a lot of people are going to say it's the spine of the human spine and all this stuff. Okay, fine. But what if it really was the same tree serving a different purpose? We call these things cell towers. They are absolutely devastating our cellular biology. They are, because they're putting out a dissonant energy, as I was describing before. However, if it was changed so that they were broadcasting resonant energy out of the cell towers, we would all be healthy, happier, and we would live extended lifetimes, much like the gods were supposedly could live for a long time relative to us. Or if you look at our ancestors from Adam down to Noah, supposedly they lived hundreds of years, as opposed to our just tens of years now, or less than 100 years is what we live. Well, I'm telling you, the tree of life is the same technology that we're talking about with networking, digital network. It could not only be used to broadcast information, it could actually make us healthy instead of sick.
How healthy was that population, though, back then, considering a ripe old age was in the 40s to early 50s? If you were in your 50s, you were antiquated.
In certain periods, certain places, yes. Other areas, no. People lived to be over 100. In fact, I mean, like I said, again, we don't know this to be certain because we don't have medical records of those people, but Adam and his descendants allegedly lived hundreds of years. And there's no reason that we should die prematurely. And I know there's been studies that have been done on, there's a certain frequency that healthy cells resonate at. And they have actually done studies where that particular frequency signal can be broadcast to a sick cell and it will recover. And so it's called sympathetic vibrations. So it's really quite possible that we could, the whole world, all life on this world could be brought back to a state of perfect health using technology if we so desired.
All right. So has any of this actual technology ever been found?
The closest thing I think that people can relate to is the Antikythera computer, an astrolab. It was found off of an island. I think the island was called Antikythera in the Mediterranean, and it's heavily encrusted. It's copper, or is it brass gears that you would crank, and it actually would follow the orbits of the planets in the solar system. It's pretty advanced. I mean, that's one thing that people have always puzzled over, and it was found underwater and badly damaged. So they had to actually X-ray it in order to see how incredibly fine the gears are. Very, very precise. And I forget the exact age of it, but it's old. So most of these things, though, you got to understand, Dave, when things like this are found, it usually the public doesn't know anything about it. Trying to think of the book by Thomas and Cremo. Anyway, there is a book. I'm just blanking on the name of it right now, but really, very heavy, Forbidden Archaeology. So that's a very difficult read. It's like almost 1,000 pages, and but it's fascinating because what they call out of place artifacts. In other words, it violates all the current narrative of our history. Stuff that shouldn't be there in ancient strata. Most of it's metallic objects, that have survived they say some of this stuff is millions of years old, and it takes technology to make metal objects like what they're describing in the book. So Forbidden Archaeology, that's a mind bender.
That is, well, and that is part of the confusion that a lot of people have in trying to believe this, that this technology was already there. How many times do you think we've done this go around where the technology has been there, and each time has it been destroyed by the stupidity of mankind?
Okay, well, I guess stupidity is one way of putting it. I would call it an imbalance in the force. As I described to you earlier, that I only learned about recently when I was reading these so-called fictional children's books by friendly extraterrestrials giving us this particular insight that we are not a civilized world. We have yet to become a civilized world. They would like us to become civilized, and they're doing whatever they can to help us. But free will is an issue. They can't violate our free will. And so even though some of us would love to become civilized and and network, become united with all the other civilized worlds, there's others among us who are dead set against it. They're exercising their free will to basically keep us all in the dark because they're enjoying their little petty power trips, or however. Okay, you could say yes, it is stupid, but it's more a level of ignorance because they're ignoring the true potential of not only this planet and our mankind, but our souls. Our souls, once we're connected fully to this cosmic web of light, our potential is increased. Incredible. It's just incredible. It's hard for me to even describe it in words because our language is rather limited. But let's just put it this way. When they talk about utopia, that would happen, certainly, if we were to go down the path of peace and prosperity. I mean, there would be no more poverty, no more hunger, no more sickness, no more war, no more lies. Because that's the other thing. When you're connected to the web of light, if we were all civilized and connected to this web, and like I said before, we would all have a spiritual, telepathic, mental, direct mind to mind, heart to heart. You cannot lie. So naturally, people who are in the dark, who are criminal or liars, they don't want us to go down that path because that puts them out of work. They're screwed. They can't lie to us anymore.
Is there a future for mankind?
Yeah, of course.
That doesn't see society collapse?
Look, even if it does collapse again, it's going to reset. Because that's just what the universe does. It creates life, it creates worlds, creates souls. And the cosmic web of life is constantly pulsing through this planet and all planets and stars. So even, like I said, it's happened before. In fact, we've had multiple extinction level events on this planet, and look at the diversity of life now, even though it's suffering terribly. We still have a tremendous amount of life. Maybe not as rich as in the past, but that's the point. Is it regenerates itself. It just will. So there'll be more opportunities for us to get it right in the future. Eventually, this will become a civilized world. I'm hoping the beginning of that will happen in 2023.
And what happens at that beginning?
Well, if we do go down the road, let's just say, just for argument's sake, let's say if a simple majority of the souls on this world, 51% or more, were to choose to go down the path of the web of light, working with the Force, working with our extended family who are civilized beyond this world, they would help us rebuild, rehabilitate the life support system on the entire planet. It would take about 10 years, and everything would be transformed in ways that we can't fully understand. I'm just summarizing. I'm kind of giving you a soundbite because that's all I can do right now. But I know a lot of people have already made the choice. They're not happy with the dark side, which is exposing itself every day in increasing amounts, right? Because they're desperate. It's an unintended consequence as they feel they're losing their grip over us. They're freaking out, and they're acting in ways that is actually serving to expose themselves. So it makes it easier for people to make a well-informed decision as to which side they want to work with going forward. And I understand not everybody's going to do this. Not everybody's comfortable with working with the light side of the Force. But ultimately, that's for me, that's the only choice that makes any sense.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. My friend, we only have about 1 minute left with you tonight. I want to say thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio and telling us about your research and everything that you have kind of learned along the path. It's amazing where an experience can go. Tell our listeners where they could find your book and more information on you.
Well, everything I do is posted on my website at unicusmagazine.com. It's spelled UNICUS magazine.com. I do read and answer all my email. So there's a link there, or you can just write to editor@unicusmagazine.com. Do appreciate you having me on, Dave, and please continue the good work.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you taking the time on your Friday night. Hope you are staying safe and well, locked in your cabin, because we like to call them cabins around here. Yeah. And you just stay awesome and keep doing what you do, my friend.
Thank you. Will do.
All right, Robert Stanley, everybody. Once again, the website, if you want to check it out, is unicusmagazine.com. Coming up next, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into the SOR Newswire that Captain Shirk has put together. And then, for all you naysayers, we're going to get into the thought of the day. Deep discussion into that. Breakfast for dinner sucks, and you never eat dinner for breakfast unless it's cold pizza. We'll be back right after this.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thorne. I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshop, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. For more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we're keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best of paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at johns.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain chair of SOR headquarters. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot. And don't forget to read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and much more. Right before we get to the news, I want to remind all of you as well, follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. That's for the show. My personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. We'd love to add you. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? Let's rack this thing up. Here we go. Rev it up. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the downright fantastic. All right. We're going to start in Orlando, Florida, where NASA has set May 27th for SpaceX's Crew Dragon capsule to launch astronauts from Florida, the first such launch from U.S. soil since the Space Shuttle program ended in 2011. NASA will once again launch American astronauts on American rockets from American soil. Oh, you could hear Jim Bridenstine just waving the stars and stripes. Astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley are scheduled for the Demo 2 flight to the International Space Station. It will be the maiden crew flight for Crew Dragon capsule. Elon Musk's SpaceX flight has flown in demonstration flights to the space station already this past March. The mission would be the first launch of American astronauts aboard an American rocket and spacecraft since July 8th, 2011, with the exception of Virgin Galactic demonstration flights. The space station has been accessible to astronauts only through purchasing seats on Russian capsules launched from Kazakhstan for the last 9 years. The Dragon capsule is to lift off atop of SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket from Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. The launch announcement comes during the coronavirus pandemic as NASA limits on-site activity to mission-critical personnel. All other NASA employees and contractors are required to work from home. The launch is considered the final test of SpaceX crewed system, including docking, splashdown, and recovery, before the company is certified to conduct regular crewed flights to the space station. SpaceX's successful in-flight test in January showed that the capsule could carry astronauts to safety in an emergency. The California-based company has pioneered use of reusable rocket boosters and recently flew its 20th uncrewed cargo mission to the space station. SpaceX is competing with Boeing to supply astronaut ferry service to the space station. Boeing ran into problems in December, however, when an uncrewed test flight for its Starliner capsule failed to reach the orbit required for the rendezvous. Starliner will have to conduct another uncrewed test flight, but no date has been announced for that. Speaking of astronauts, a U.S. Russian crew landed safely Friday in the steppes of Kazakhstan following a stint on the International Space Station, and they were greeted with extra precautions due to the coronavirus. NASA astronauts Jessica Meyer and Andrew Morgan and Russian cosmonaut Oleg Skoropcha touchdown as scheduled today. Their Soyuz capsule landed under a striped orange and white parachute about 150 kilometers, 93 miles, southeast of Dagestan in Kazakhstan. On Friday, Russian space corporation Roscosmos said it had 42 coronavirus cases and reported the first deaths. It said 2 workers who died had tested positive for the virus, and another employee who died of pneumonia was suspected of having the infection as well. Russian officials say they took stringent measures to protect the crew members amid the pandemic. The recovery team and medical personnel assigned to help the 3 out of the capsule and to perform post-flight checks were under close medical observation for nearly a month before the landing and were tested for the coronavirus. Roscosmos director Dmitry Rogozhin said the 3 astronauts were feeling well. Morgan wrapped up a 272-day mission on his first flight into space. He conducted 7 spacewalks, 4 of which were to improve and extend the life of the station's alpha magnetic spectrometer, which looks for evidence of dark matter in the universe. Moving on here. In the near future, we could see robots feasting on metal. Robots are becoming increasingly useful in search and rescue missions, from snake bots that can slither through tight spaces or cracks to reach people in distress, to drones that can fly inside tight cave shafts to gather information about the tunnel system inside before deploying larger units. The problem? All of these robots are only capable as their battery packs are. Once the energy inside the bots is depleted, they must stop whatever they are doing, no matter how important that mission is, and operators must either recharge the battery or load a new one. Not only that, but the batteries give the bots additional undesirable weight. So here comes researchers at the University of Pennsylvania School of Engineering and Applied Science. They've apparently found a way to bypass that weakness. Their metal air scavenger makes use of an untapped power source that is quite literally all around us, metal. A lot of these robots are enabling some really remarkable capabilities, James Pickle says. Yeah, apparently he is an assistant professor at Penn and the leading researcher on the project. They're going to be made down to a miniature scale, but batteries don't scale that way. As robots become increasingly useful, they're quite literally tethered by their power sources. If researchers want to see a tripling in battery capability, it could take 20 years. I refuse to wait that long, he says. The biggest inspiration we drew from is this kind of corny, but it's eating. Pickle says animals eat, and that's how they power themselves, but instead of eating glucose, the robots will eat metal. Does anybody not see the danger in this? I mean, this is how Terminator gets started, man. You know, this is how things go. This is not a good idea, Pickles. So not a good idea. So apparently, depending on the metal's potential for oxidation, different materials give the mass system different energy densities. Pickle says iron is plentiful, but will yield less energy than aluminum due to the nature of its chemical bonds. Aluminum and zinc, meanwhile, work really well, so just as our body metabolizes apples and pizza differently, the mass system breaks apart the bonds in metal differently. Oh, man, this is totally Terminator. Totally Terminator. We're going down that road. We are going down that road, and it is scary. All right. Archaeologists in China have unearthed a decapitated skeleton still resting in its final kneeling position. Such practices were hinted at in ancient Chinese scripts, but this discovery is further proof of this particular sacrificial rite. The discovery was made in China, in the Henan province. The country's largest state-run news agency stated, archaeologists from the Henan Provincial Institute of Cultural Relics and Archaeology have been digging through this site since 2019. To date, they have managed to comb through 6,000 square meters. The site dates back to the Shang dynasty, which ruled from around 1600 BC to 1046. The site has yielded evidence of houses, water wells, stoves, roads, and a surprising number of tombs. The archaeologists also uncovered various relics such as potteries, bones, jewelry, and even evidence of seafood and fireworks. Oh, that's awesome. They knew how to party back in 1049. The team also uncovered a sacrificial pit with a decapitated victim still inside. The skeleton was found in its final kneeling position, its body facing north, with arms folded in front. Looking very carefully at the photo, it even appears that the individual's hands are still clasped together. The grim remnants are providing cultural evidence of the social and spiritual customs that were in place during this time period. How screwed up is that? That, you know, you're cutting someone's head off as a sacrificial rite. Mental. Absolutely mental. You don't need to. Kind of need a head to get ahead. For the mega rich, the coronavirus pandemic has been a wake-up call revealing that they are unable to take care of themselves. Yeah, how strange is this? This is from Forbes magazine. Yeah, many wealthy people who normally rely on health or housekeepers, cooks, drivers, and other staff have had to choose between either asking those people to live in their homes with them or try and make do on their own. And that latter group has quickly learned that they definitely were not up to the task. Yeah, Mahler Private Staffing, a company that places workers in homes of the extremely rich, have been fielding calls from clients who have no clue how to do chores on their own. Some of them are doing household tasks they've never done in decades, founder Peter Maher says. For instance, Mahler said that he had to help one guy who was calling in to ask how to take a bag out of his vacuum cleaner, and asking where his usual housekeeper kept extra bags in his New York City apartment. Other plutocrats have asked their household staff to quarantine alongside them, sometimes offering temporary pay bumps. We've had 3 detainees, I call them, Martha Stewart said on the recent Late Night with Seth Meyers interview. We make a nice dinner every night. We have a cocktail. We play cards after dinner. Well, isn't that nice, Martha? Isn't that nice? I hope you're cooking for them for once. Here's a really, really cool story, man. If you're on Twitter, go to @SanParksKNP. SanParksKNP. Why? There are these beautiful, beautiful pictures of a pride of lions in the South African National Park, Kruger, that took advantage of the peace and quiet from the tourists, and they are now lounging around on the warm roads. Kruger National Park posted photos to their Twitter showing the lions lying in the middle of the road that officials say would normally be avoided due to presence of tourists. The lion pride are actually residents of the Kempiani Contractual Park, an area where Kruger tourists do not see. This afternoon, they were lying on the tar road just outside Orpin Rest Camp. Park spokesperson Isaac Fala said the photos illustrate how life has changed inside the park amid the coronavirus pandemic, which led to tourists being barred from entering. Lying on the road during the daytime is unusual because under normal circumstances there would be traffic, and that pushes them into the bush. They just occupy places they normally would shun when they are tourists around, he says. People should remember that KNP, or Kruger National Park, is still a largely wild area, and in the absence of humans, wildlife is more accurate. All right. Couples forced to postpone their weddings due to the COVID-19 pandemic are being given a chance to win to win a year's worth of free beer from Busch Light. The beer company announced the Busch Wedding Gift Competition, which will be awarded, and a year's supply of the beer to a couple whose 2020 wedding was postponed or canceled as a result. The company said participating couples must post a photo of themselves on social media, along with a description of how they plan to celebrate their eventual nuptials. The post must contain the hashtags, #BuschWeddingGift and #sweepstakes. The winning pair will be chosen in random May 2nd. 50 smaller prizes will also be awarded to people who tag a friend and use the hashtag #MyFriendsWedding. And finally, Catherine, a 14-foot great white shark with a worldwide fan base, has been emerging and re-emerging on satellite tracking systems researchers use to follow her movements. The rediscovery comes as a surprise to the team as Catherine disappeared from radar more than a year ago, causing alarm among many of her followers. The analysis shows there's a chance she could still be about 200 miles off the coast of Virginia. Researchers for the marine research company OSearch have found. Also, called Catherine by some in the U.S., the shark is named after the songwriter and Cape Cod native Catherine Lee Bates, most known for her poem America the Beautiful. She has a huge following, including her own Twitter account and one of 2 social sharks for OSearch. According to the team, their satellite tracking provider did an in-depth analysis to produce an extremely rough estimate of where she may be. OSearch has been tracking the shark as well as other great whites along the northwest Atlantic coast. Scientists initially believed Catherine's tracker had run out of batteries as the shark had not appeared on radar since May 2019. The tracker had been fitted 7 years prior, and batteries typically last 5. She'll be bigger, significantly bigger, and in particular, she's much, much more girth. Chris Fisher says she's probably a very robust, mature female white shark in her productive prime. While the database research company have been applauded by many for its contribution to peer-reviewed research on marine biology, OSearch has faced criticism for popularization of shark tracking. Some critics have alleged OSearch methods to border on exploitation, citing the company's controversial partnership with companies including SeaWorld. Fisher defended the company's approach in an interview with the New York Times. He questioned how research would be funded without its partnerships and apparel sites. Let's get to it, shall we? Bunch of sick people on Facebook and Twitter today. I'm telling you, if you're wondering who you cannot trust after today's Thought of the Dave, this is the list. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. Thank you for the clown, Marty. Most of you weirdos say it's fine to have breakfast for dinner. However, what about having dinner foods for breakfast? And you know, a lot of you relied on pizza, okay? Pizza can be eaten at any time. Okay, that is a bachelor's staple for breakfast, is pizza. So, Canadian Joe, sitting in his lonely lawn chairs on Yonge Street in Toronto waiting for the Maple Leaf Stanley Cup parade, he says leftover pizza is amazing. Marty, in Las Vegas, since I retired, I seldom eat breakfast, but when I was in the workforce, it was not unusual for me to eat cheeseburgers, steak, pork chops, or pizza for breakfast on any given day. But I worked night shifts for 36 years, so I'm screwed up. And by the way, here's your clown for the night. Thank you, Marty. You know, you got an excuse, Marty, because your schedule is flipped. That's okay. It's these people who do it on purpose. Cynthia. Heck yeah, too many years of working overnight shifts for my food timetable, and it's all weird. Nathan, I found out the other day that, yes, it's good if you add Irish whiskey and tonic. Greg, I love a cold curry from the night before. Jen, I happily eat pho for breakfast and have zero problems with cold pizza for breakfast, too. Pizza is acceptable. Rox, steak and eggs. Okay, that's a breakfast meal. Of course you can eat that for breakfast. Wayne, I'm totally done that. Reheated leftover beef and potatoes, complete with gravy at 8:30 a.m. 'Twas yum. No, that's lunchtime meal, man. Spookles. But if you have breakfast foods for dinner, doesn't that qualify it as dinner foods for breakfast? No. Amy, the lovely Amy. Definitely have eaten dinner for breakfast. Well, we all have. All right, Ghost Bep. Only round cold pizza that is cut into triangles is acceptable. Hashtag screw square pizza. Jace, just pizza. Brooke, yes please. Dan, bacon, the all-day food, much like pizza. Okay, that's acceptable. Susan, one reason I sometimes have breakfast for dinner is that it's too much work and takes too long in the AM to cook waffles, bacon, sausages, eggs, and hash browns when I just want to eat and have a coffee. So no, I'm not making dinner food for breakfast. Well, you can't have it the other way around then. That you're still half screwed up there, Susan. Carl, I work 12-hour rotating shifts, so to me, there aren't any specific foods for certain times of the day. Oh, Carl, you got to discipline yourself. Discipline. All right. Gail, you mean like eating tacos and burritos I had yesterday morning or the shrimp I'm eating now? Works for me, Captain. That's terrible. Terrible, Captain. Bad, Captain. William Pullen, that works for me. I'm quite flexible despite what some other weirdos seem to think. I think that was a shot at me. Alfred, steak and eggs come to mind. Yes, for breakfast, Alfred, because it's a breakfast meal. Joyce, cold steak? Yum. Gil, yes, I have done it. Not all the time, but if I'm really hungry, I have an egg and potato fries. Jennifer, pizza for breakfast? Yes. Okay, we've cleared up the pizza thing. Janice, mac and cheese is great breakfast food? Oh, come on, it's not good food any time of the day. Mac and cheese is terrible. Terrible. Aaron, cheeseburgers at 9 a.m. sounds fantastic. Remind me, keep an eye on you, Aaron. Cody, I had 2 burgers and a plate of French fries this morning for breakfast. Blasphemy. Chuck is all about pizza. Kimberly, this was my breakfast on Easter Sunday. Today I mixed spaghetti sauce with eggs on tortilla. So freaking satisfying. And I take my vitamins, but I don't think that quite balances it out. And she points a picture at Frito's bean dip. Tessa, I had steak or tacos numerous times for breakfast. Little Ronnie Moniak, I love a good hamburger and chips for breakfast. That's terrible. Lots of pizza. Ron Lorenz, it's the ones who get a DUI after eating breakfast that you have to worry about. True. All right, Gary, it's okay. Food is food. Just enjoy no matter what time you choose. Can't trust him. He's on the wall. Krista, I had spaghetti for breakfast today. Oh, you're terrible. Kelly's beard, eat a hamburger for breakfast and eggs and bacon and bannock for dinner, man. Do it. Never. Trim your beard with that kind of talk, man. Trim your beard. John, hell yes. I love going to Sonic at 7 a.m. for a chili cheese, coney, and tots. They look at me like I'm crazy, but I like it. That's a good place to end it right there. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave. We really appreciate it, and Captain Shirky did a great job, along with our guest tonight, Robert Stanley. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the legend himself. A special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Thanks to everybody in our chat rooms on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Rev Radio, Facebook, our Space Travelers Club, and the Snarkers and Snarkettes at hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. We'll see you soon. Good night.